Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's edition of HR Mentorship Learning Series. Tonight, we'll be looking at the topic Cultural Integration, Talent Retention, and Redundancy Risk Management. My name is Oluyemi Adeosun, and our facilitator for today is Mr. Fola Vincent, and I'll be reading his profile. He's one of our regular facilitators. If you have been with us for a while now, I'm sure you must have watched multiple of his excellent presentation. Fola Vincent has over 30 years of experience in HR consulting, coaching, and banking. He is a strategic and trusted human capital and change management expert, passionate about shaping performance-driven cultures and empowering leaders at every level. Currently, he serves as the Chief People Officer at Accessible Publishers Limited and its subsidiaries, where he designs and leads people, culture, and change management strategies. He was the former head of learning, performance, and culture at Human Capital Management with Nova Bank, where he drove enterprise-wide strategies and that aligns people and culture with business, innovation, and growth. Also, previously was faculty manager with FCMB Training Academy. Fola has consistently delivered impactful learning programs, digital learning, and talent initiatives that strengthen organizational capabilities. He holds a BSc in chemistry education, also a master's in education, counseling psychology, and is a PhD scholar in personal psychology at the University of Ibadan. He is a certified business psychology practitioner, senior professional human resource, SPHRI. He's a professional. He also has other relevant credentials, including certified Goku data analyst. He has Prince 2 and project management training and certification, as a mini MBA in business innovation also. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a seasoned leadership coach, facilitator. He's a Maxwell leadership coaching practitioner and facilitator with John Maxwell Change Your World Initiative, and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight speaking to us on the topic Cultural Integration, Talent Retention, and Redundancy Risk Management. Let's welcome Fola Vincent. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oluyemi Adeosun. It's an amazing time to meet you and our wonderful team in the HR Mentorship Group. I am always very delighted to join this amazing team. And I want to believe that it's still appropriate for me to say that Happy New Year. Right. So today we're looking at cultural integration, talent retention, and redundancy risk management. So one thing I want to do today is to ensure that I am not too theoretical, and we can get the best from today's training. Is that okay? Let's go quickly. When we look at the organization of today, you will realize that we are operating an environment of what refers to as continuous disruption. It is nothing like probably seasonal change or episodic change. And there's something that we call the VUCA environment, whereby change is, every environment is volatile, is very uncertain, and as a matter of fact, very complex and ambiguous. We are hearing things like economic volatility, digital acceleration, evolving workforce expectations, globalization, regulatory pressure, and shareholder demands that are fundamentally alter how organizations must operate. As I speak to you right now, you might be feeling the heat or the change in your organization, probably as HR leaders, and what have you, entrepreneurs and even those in the boardrooms, they are feeling the change everywhere. So this topic today is about how you manage change as it relates to culture, retention, and redundancy. I am going to just pick them one after the other. Please just give me a short moment. Let me quickly do something. I'm getting some feedback I'm not supposed to be getting. So So, like I said, everybody is feeling the heat from the gate room to the boardroom. Everyone, depending on the sector you find yourself, whether in banking, communication, education, oil and gas, depending on the sector you find yourself. So the change has become our reality. Do we agree with me anyway? And as a matter of fact, 70% of transformations fail to achieve intended outcome. Why? When you look at McKinsey, when you look at PwC, or you look at KPMG, you will realize that it is primarily because of cultural misalignment, talent flight, leadership inconsistency. I am not going to say incompetence, because there are some leaders that rose to the leadership position because they are very competent. But suddenly, change came in and things began to happen. And I will tell you something. When you look at the greatest change you have ever led, or probably transformational arena, something that we usually contend with has to do with culture. And from culture, we begin to move into people flight. People, are they leaving? Are they staying? Can they withstand this change? And suddenly, you begin to see that leadership becomes inconsistent with their value and with their actions. So the problem we face is not about probably financial pressure or system pressure or technical pressure. Most of the time, it's had to do with culture and people issues. And that is what we are looking at today. And this is another reason you have to pay attention to everything I'm about to discuss today, especially if you are a change champion, people and culture management champion. Let us quickly redefine culture. Culture is how decisions are made when no one is watching. And like some other people put it, culture is what management permits. And let me put it to you as HR expert. Culture is what you support. So if you support it, then it becomes a culture. And one thing about culture is that it shapes leadership behavior. It determines your risk appetite. It shows whether you are accountable, and it's also determines collaboration. One thing is very important. Change does not create culture. It only reveals it. Whether you are doing major, you are doing acquisition, you are doing technology integrations or transformation, no matter what you are doing, every hidden culture will be revealed. And that is why what we are doing today is very, very important. What is culture integration? Cultural integration is just intentional alignment, probably your business or if the workplace environment, the alignment with your value, which you have written, the organizational value anyway, the behavior you want to shape through organizational value. Then we also look at the leadership norms and the decision-making practices or processes. So it is the integrations of these four critical areas: value, behavior, leadership norms or leadership philosophy. I think that's the most important. Leadership philosophy and the way they make decisions, or simply put, the way they just want to do business. That is all about cultural integration. So there are a lot of things you want to test. One, is our value still consistent? Are we having or shaping the right behavior? Is our leadership philosophy changing? Are we making the right decision in terms of the business, the vendor we work with, or everything that we do as an organization? As simple as these four areas is, these are the major things most organizations are dealing with right now. And let me quickly put it to you as an individual. Since you have joined that organization, do you think your HR team, or probably the leadership, the line managers, and the executive management, do you think they are consistent with the value of that organization? There's anything that I've ever shocked me in life, actually in my 13 years of working as HR, I have realized that during change, we just begin to see that leaders begin to change value. They might say they uphold collaboration, but at the end of the day, they are dividing the system. You know, there was a research from HRCI, and they realized that one of the things that suffer the most during change or transformation is the value of the organization. Employees just realized that most leaders are not living by the value they once uphold. And because they don't live by this value, it begins to erode trust that affects behavior. Because value is supposed to shape behavior, but in this time around, because the value of is not aligned with the behavior, then trust is eroded. Then before you know this happening, you begin to challenge leadership philosophy or not. And at the end of the day, people, leaders or HR leaders, they begin to make decisions on impulse. That is, they were very, very reactive instead of them to be very, very proactive. So, and we see all of these things probably when you are doing restructuring or you are doing merger and acquisition, or there is a rapid growth in that organization. And that one, let me quickly speak to that. Most organizations, despite the fact that you think they are preparing for growth, you might think they are preparing for growth, but most of the time, they do not prepare for cultural integration. That is just a simple truth. Go and check every organization right now preparing for serious growth. Go and look at their strategic document. Something might be missing right now, if it is not actually missing, and that is cultural integration strategy. Okay. So cultural integration fails when one, culture is treated as soft skills or something that is secondary. And do not forget, it is this the same culture that determines how leaders lead and make trade-offs, how employees collaborate or compete, how risk is perceived or managed, and how accountability is enforced. But instead of leaders or HR change agents to actually pay attention to culture, do you know what they do? They just focus on system and most of the time on the financials. I will not lie to you. It's the greatest shock of my life when I see people putting so much energy into strategy without culture. And don't forget, they say culture eats strategy for breakfast. So when you don't pay attention to culture, it can affect any kind of transformation you are doing in the organization. And secondly, most organizations focus on system, not behavior. And as a performance expert, I realized that one, mindset of the organization, which actually refers to as the philosophy of the organization. When we talk about philosophy of an organization, we are talking about their mission, their vision, their values, and principles. These are the things that make up their philosophy. How they want to work, how they want to be perceived, the behavior they want to show, and these are the things that make up their philosophy. So I have seen where organizations, probably yours right now, they are just focusing on the system, they are focusing on the financial aspect of the business, and they care less about behavior because they don't have any single strategy for it. I want to be very careful. But my experience showed when you get to the boardroom, the major thing they ever focus on and they create so much time for is the financials, are the processes. When it comes to culture and behavior of the organization, do you know what happened? Probably they just spend like 2 minutes or 5 minutes on it. As a matter of fact, they just speak it. We have to do something about our culture. but they did nothing. No culture strategy. They don't pay too much attention. There's a particular time I have to respond to executive management by telling them that, please, let's stop talking about this culture. Can we create so much time that we create for looking at the financial indices, looking at the financial performances? Can we create the same kind of time or create that energy we put into that? Can we put it into culture? Because culture drives behavior. And as a matter of fact, behavior drives performances. And thirdly, because of leadership misalignment. I've already said that here, misalignment with value, with the behavior they want to shape, with their leadership philosophy, and with the way they make decisions. Do not forget that. Okay. So now, there are 5 attributes that predict cultural integration success. And this one is actually coming from McKinsey. And, because they really do a lot when it comes to cultural integration, I think they're big on it. And if you really want to learn more about culture, you can actually go into McKinsey website and learn more about it. So there are success indicators for cultural integration. In case you are having culture shock, you realize that a lot of things is happening in your culture. Probably you want to go into merger, you want to go into acquisition, or you are leading a major transformation. You need to pay attention to these drivers. Number 1 is the talent. And I will tell you why talent is very, very important. I will give you an example. Now, probably your organization is growing at a stage that you need to hire close to, let me say, 150 staff or 200 staff. And don't forget, you have internal resource that you're working with, probably they're just 300, but because of expansion, you just need to add people to it. Depending on which category or level of staff you want to add, probably at the junior staff, or at the middle management, or at the strategic level, which has to do with the senior management, depending what you really want to bring in. At the junior level, it could be very easy to easily integrate them into the culture of that organization, unlike at the middle management level or at the senior management level. And most of the time, you have to have a strategy for talent. Talent strategy that actually hire probably at that area of middle management and senior management in such a way that they could produce the same kind of value you currently uphold in your organization. Once you miss it, oh God, you can begin to have serious cultural issue. I have experienced that in my journey as HR. We have seen where we hire middle management or senior management and they begin to erode the culture of that organization, especially if you are doing it at a very senior management level. And what did we learn when it comes to either merger or acquisition? What we learn is that we have to devote so much time into culture audit, even before we integrate a new organization into our own organization. So the same thing happened during talent management. So there must be a strategy at your recruitment level, at your onboarding level, at your learning and development level, and you should do it in such a way that your planning integrate culture into everything that you are doing. But if it's at the junior management level, that one is very sweet anyway. You can easily shape their behavior to make them adapt to the culture of the organization. Then the second one has to do with role clarity. One of the things you must get right, let me put it that way, when it comes to the issue of cultural integration, is clarity of roles. Very, very important. It must not be ambiguity. You must establish clear objective and accountability for each critical individual and the overall integration effort. Very, very important. From the recruitment down to the time that you are measuring their performance. That's very key. Then the next one has to do with performance management. You must provide attractive incentive and clearly link rewards to performance. And one thing I want to put in brackets in that performance area has to do with culture. I wouldn't know whether your organization right now, if you do what refers to as 360-degree, in a genuine way anyway, whereby you, beyond people measuring performance, in terms of probably finance, prophecies, you also dedicate one area of your appraiser or performance management to culture. That is, you measure how many of our staff are living our culture, how many of them are eroding the culture. And you must have a reward and consequence management for it. I've married the two together so that you don't just focus on the consequence management and let go of the reward management. And you have to balance it. Who are the people living our culture? You must find a way to reward them. Who are the people not living our culture or eroding our culture? And most of the time, and I wouldn't know how to say this, do you know, most of the time, all of this senior management or some of this middle management that have become so powerful in the organization, most of the time, they don't even subject themselves to the value measurement or culture appraiser. They don't do it. They escape the processes, they form business, and at the end of the day, they are actually the one eroding what we do as HR. So one of the things you could do as HR is to ensure the cultural integrations as a strong strategy at the senior management level, and just come down to the middle management level. Don't just focus on the junior staff alone. But the next one has to do with customer focus. You must maintain and grow external and customer focus to establish and expand business momentum and keep integration planning focused on what matters. What do you think could be so mattered to the customer? It's about your value propositions to the customer. You've got to be consistent. And that is why probably during change integration or cultural integration in terms of merger acquisition or any transformation that you're doing, probably you are working with the government or you are working with vendors or anything that you're doing, you must set out criteria in such a way that this is how we are going to work with our customers. This is how we are going to work with our vendors. And I will give you an example. When I was taking consulting firm, let me put it that way. That time I was look, don't let me mention any organization. We got one job, very big job like that. We got it. And by the time they wrote to us from that company, they said, we got this job because they realized we were consistent with our font name, font size, and color of our presentation. Let me repeat that in case you don't understand. Customers are watching. They are looking at your value. They're looking at your mission. They're looking at your promise, the promise you made to them. They are looking at all of these things into little details. They are paying attention to little details. And that is why I love people with a very strong corporate image, corporate branding. I love them. They have their EVP, and they have their brand equity, and they have their, promise they have made to the customer, brand internal customers or external customers. The reason why it's so important because it builds trust over the years that before you know what is happening, it increases loyalty. You should have read or watched about the speed of trust by Stephen Covey, I guess. What made it is this cultural integration. So you have to pay attention to all of those areas. And the final one has to do with the decision making, how you make decisions effectively. One of the things that can erode culture and affect your overall cultural integration is the way you make decisions. I have seen where leaders become inconsistent with decision making when they are faced with pressure or uncertainty and complexity. I have seen it. I don't want to be mentioning organization, and I want to be very careful here because we are all HR. We know what happens there. If there's anything we need to do as HR professional, is to work with senior management leaders, especially and also the middle management, to enable them to make decisions. And I love what HRCI and I think CIPM is doing the same. It has become very compulsory. Every time you want to renew your certification, that you do what it refers to as ethical leadership. One thing that comes with ethical leadership is the way you make decisions ethically, forward thinking, and in terms being customer focused, which is very, very important, because decision making, it can erode trust. And once trust is eroded, it begins to affect culture and every other thing you hold in an esteem in that organization. They are affected. Let's quickly move to talent retention. And now, the reason why I love this topic is because go and look at the major problem you are having with your talent in your organization right now. Like right now, they can be traced down to cultural defect or trust, erosion of trust. Let me put it that way. Okay. So that is why we need to actually talk about how cultural integration actually affects talent retention. I don't know the problem you are facing right now in terms of your retention strategy. If you get culture right, there's a possibility that your turnover will be very low. Talent retention is the intentional ability to keep critical roles. What are those critical roles you needed to keep in your organization? So then apart from that, you are able to keep high performance and especially some of this scarce talent in the industry, And oh my God, talent retention is the big deal in organization right now. I do hope you know. And there are two things that drive talent retention. Number one is trust, and number two is clarity. When we talk about trust, trust is linked to culture, and culture is linked to performance. And sincerely speaking, performance is leads to result. And the second one has to do with clarity. This authenticity that comes with clarity in terms of communication, clarity in terms of reward, clarity in terms of growth, and even sustainability. As I speak to you right now, most organizations there's no clarity in their rewards, no transparency. In fact, you begin to see so many lodges from node 1 to 200. People in the same grade not earning the same. I am not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm trying to say is that within this system, you need to show transparency. How do people earn more? How do people get promoted? How are people rewarded? What happens that you face consequences? It should be very, very transparent and clear within the system. I was reading LinkedIn report in 2025. And one of the things we realized in LinkedIn report was one, growth. Most employees are not clear about growth. And most employees says that about 64%, I guess, just go to LinkedIn right now, you will see the report there. I think about 64% say they are likely going to stay in an organization where they grow. And the second area has to do with reward. How are they rewarded? Okay. How are they promoted? How are they trained? I think another area has to do with if you can train me and I have opportunity to grow your organization, I am going to stay. Whether you like it or not, everything still takes us back to trust. Recently, I was telling some of my colleagues in the HR platform, I said, anytime you are having talent retention problems, just know that two things are missing. Sincerely speaking, this is my own philosophy about talent retention. You can have your own strategy, but all my talent retention strategy is around trust and clarity. If I come to your organization right now and you told me that there is high turnover, I will just tell you, go and manage trust and clarity. That's what I will just tell you. Talented individual, once they don't trust your system again, the next thing they do, they begin to look for the exit. Especially somebody like me. Once I lose faith in your processes, I lose faith in your leadership, within 1 week, I'm gone. Thank God, Dr. Luyemi is here. Hey, hello, doctor. Hope you are very good. Yes, I think where I am currently, I need to leave. This, what is happening now? I think there's no trust in this system again. But, but HR, we are supposed to manage it. Yeah, that is where the problem comes. It depends who you are managing in terms of trust. Obviously, it's not the junior staff you are managing in terms of trust. It may not really be the middle management in terms of trust. It could actually be the real strategy owners of that organization. I don't know whether some of them are here. If you are facing real talent retention threat right now, just go back to your organization and develop what refers to a trust and clarity strategy. That's what you don't need talent strategy anyway. You just need this one. Look at every area that people have lost trust in the process, in the way you treat customers, in the way you champion change and transformation, in terms of reward. Just do something about it, and you'll be so surprised that you can just begin to solve the talent problem. Why high performers leave during change? Number one, we realize that attrition increases about 30 to 50% during major change. And those people that leave force are high performers. And why do they leave? One, uncertainty about future roles, loss of trust in leadership, lack of voice, the one we refer to as psychological safety. And the last one has to do with career ambiguity. Hopefully, by the time we are done today, some of you can go back to your organization and you want to champion talent strategy. And what I'm doing currently now is to assist you to know where you're going to focus on. And that is if your executive management is going to listen to you. Okay. And I hope they do. If there are executive management in this place, you are a leader in your organization, you are championing change, you must pay attention to this area. There must not be uncertainty about roles in your organization. And I'll give you some example. I want to be very careful because, I've seen things, probably you may think that I'm talking about your organization. You have called me, you have explained so many things. I'm not doing that. That's why I'm not going to be mentioning organization in this place, okay? How do you justify somebody all his life have been in, let's say, IT, and the next thing you do, you tell the person to move to marketing department? Somebody that have already reached almost the peak of his career. I say, because of restructuring we are doing, I need you to move to marketing department. Does it really align? It can be energy draining for that person to transition. There could be more. Somebody all his life has been doing HR, and you tell the person, go to the branch operation. Something is not missing out. It's not matching. So as a talent retention driver, you should be able to have a clear path, career path that enables people to move from anywhere they want to move and to anywhere they want to go in within the organization without draining energy. A particular, it's like a friend anyway. She called me. She said, when I joined that organization, they said I joined as S1 and Z, but before I knew what is happening, they began to add more roles to me. One thing she mentioned was, Fola, I'm confused. I don't even know what to do. So do not be HR that confuses people. You should be HR that convinced and also inspires people to take up that role and be so happy about it. So I will just leave there. Okay, let me quickly go to lack of voice, which has to do with psychological safety. Are people afraid to speak in your organization? If there's anything I know about high performance, one thing I know about them, because I know many of you are here, and you will know that what I'm about to say now is correct. There's anything I know about high performance is that they want their voice to be heard. How do they do that? They came up with ideas, with innovations, and they write, they communicate. You know, when you refuse to listen to them, accept their ideas, look into their innovative ideas, you know what happened? You kill that creativity. The next thing they do, they begin to look for exit. So you must create an environment whereby high performance drive, especially those people in your critical roles, that they are happy and they can drive the business. So we have the talent strategy, talent retention strategy. I come up with segmentation. Like I said, not all roles carry equal value. So you need to identify who are the mission critical roles, the scarce skills, and the future leaders. And in all of these people, you must plan what are referred to as career pathway for them. You must create that career pathway for them. Each of these people have different needs. You should identify those needs and find a way to meet those needs. For example, Fola Vincent, if I join your organization, my needs are very different. My need may not be reward. My need could be, can I grow in this organization? Can I move faster to the boardroom in this organization? So everybody has aspirations, and not just aspirations, they have critical needs. So the same way, all your talent. And I think I love, well, these people, is it Coca-Cola? And I think the same thing is happening. Download some of their report or go online and research what they've done in that place. I want to believe that all of you, you can still hear me and listening to me right now. So next to that is employee value proposition. You know, you think that most of the time, things about talent has to do with salary. We have realized, and I think that all of you here, you should know by now, salary does not retain staff. It can retain them for a shorter period of time. So it's a reactive way of making your staff to stay in your organization. Oh, what is your problem? Do you want more salary? Let me increase it. Don't worry. In the next 3 or 6 months, it will not be enough again, especially in this kind of Nigeria that we find ourselves. Salary is great. And I usually tell my colleagues, I say, salary is very great too. I want more money. But that you give me more money doesn't mean I'm going to stay in your organization. So there are critical needs. And that's what I told you. Those two I gave to you, that trust and clarity. Just do your best and craft out employee value proposition. Be transparent, look into their career, let it be purposeful and meaningful, and let it show leadership credibility. Do not promise what you cannot give. You know, some of my life is used in banking industry. And in the banking industry, there are some things they consider their needs, probably a mortgage or probably car, you know, or promotions, you know, especially in the banking industry, because the ladder is so, it's a tall ladder, you know, it reaches the heaven from GT to the GM or more. You may not become GM in your career till you resign. So to some, that promotion could be very critical for them. And if you map up the pathway for them, they might stay. Why to some is the salary. So you just have to find a way to, you know, that's why I love some organizations that tell you that every year they review their salary. It's just the way you want to keep them. But do not forget trust and clarity, which is the foundation of this retention strategy. And the third one, which I know that most organizations don't do, is to empower managers. And this time around, it is the middle managers. Now, there is this retention strategy that most people are not paying attention to. If I know the kind of people you have with your middle managers, I will know whether you will be having retention issue or turnover issue. Me, I will know. I will definitely know. If you don't have strong middle management, there's a possibility that your turnover will be very high. In fact, if you do the audit of most organizations with high turnover today, it is because of those middle management, those supervisors. If they are not many and your workforce is large and there are not many, you will face high turnover. Fola, what are you saying? I'm telling you, like I told you today, I'm not going to be telling you what to read in some of your books. I'll be telling you what happened in real life. You to go out, go to organization and check. I'm telling you, that's the major fact. And where your middle management are adequate and they are well empowered, empowerment means that they should be able to take some decisions at their own level, all those of your middle managers. Because we realize that they are trusted more than they trust even the board chairman. They are well trusted. And I could remember that was, is it 2024, I guess, or probably actually it should be 2024. I was about leaving my then organization. I took the offer in April. I was about to leave. So I did not even know how to face her. I was feeling bad to talk to her that I want to leave. But my wife told me, just summon the courage and go and talk to her. I said, okay. Then I went to her and I said, Ma, it seems I'll be leaving. Do you know what she told me? She said, Fola, we have not started. Do you know the plan we have here? You can't go anywhere. I'm just looking at her like this. And sincerely speaking, I turned down the offer. Until about shortest period of time, she now come to me and say, Fola, because something's happened during that period, and it was actually has to do with trust issues. And say, Fola, I'm going. Intelligence is going. I said, God, thank you. Me too, I did go. As a matter of fact, in that organization that year, about 3 or 4 high performer in that group left because a middle management left, manager left. That is how powerful they are. And when you study the Google strategy in terms of retention, they empower so much their middle management. So please do it. So I told you, I said manager capability determines retention outcome. That is the biggest truth you have ever heard from me today. Okay? Empower them, reward them, make them feel good, and they will help the system. And on the other way around, like a flip, hey, if you disempower them, hey, or you don't take care of them very well, just like the way they can make the organization edgy, they can also make it to be very toxic. And most of the time, we realize that most toxic culture are linked to these managers. And that's why you see most people, they left their organization, not because they really want to leave that organization, but they left because of their managers or supervisors. Is that okay? And let me quickly go back to whether you are doing merger or you are doing acquisition, please pay attention to managers. And I want to warn you, write it down. Before you complete that merger or that acquisition, and you are determining whether you want to absorb those middle management, go and ask about their culture, the one that they create. If you know it's a bad culture, I will advise you, do not take or absorb all their managers. Go and do 360-degree, all these, psychological survey before you can go ahead with that. If not, they will erode your culture. And I am talking from experience. Most organizations today are having problems because of those managers they hire. Okay. So let's move to redundancy risk management. In merger or any major restructuring, it usually comes with layoff. It comes with dismissal, and that is where redundancy risk management comes. And most of the time, organization, we want to follow this path for many reasons, but I will tell you one, they just want to manage costs. They want, not all of them are doing it because of culture. Most of them are doing those layoffs, strategic dismissal because of financial cost. I can tell you for free today. And whether you like it or not, so many organizations towards the end of 2025, especially in the industry I just left recently, they sack so many people without even the media knowing. They sack plenty without media even knowing. And why did they do that? They call it restructuring. Restructuring is creative because you want to cut costs. Who are those earning more, higher? But we discovered that we can do without. They identified them. Who are those in the down 20%? Who are doing the high 20%? Let it down, let's leave them. Let's pay them off. It's happening, and I know that it's still going to happen, especially some of us who are in banking industry right now, all this capitalization. And I know that this training is coming at a very good time. Is that okay? So like I said it this way, I said redundancy is not cost action only. It can lead to operational risk, cultural risk, reputational risk, and legal risk, especially if you don't do it in the right way. And like I put in this place, I said, how you exit people defines who stays, because whether you like it or not, people are watching. And sincerely speaking, I've left some organization because when I saw the way they treat those people ahead of us, people that would think they have given their heart, they have given their energy to that organization, when we see the way they treated them badly in Yoruba land, is signals to us. And we say in Yoruba word, igi gogoro ma gumi loju, òkèèrè láti máa ń wò. I don't know how to say that in English. Igi gogoro. Don't worry about that one, okay? So, my dear colleagues, HR, how you exit people defines who stays. So you must have a strategy around this area. And what you are going to be managing is the risk that is involved. Risk of poor redundancy management can, number one, 20% productivity decline among remaining staff, especially if you undo it poorly. It can lead to loss of institutional knowledge. If you do it poorly, some people will just go away. In fact, some of them will not even do handover. When you begin to see your staff resigning without all those 1 month notice or doing handover, just know that you are already facing redundancy risk, because they don't see any reason to wait 1 day more. That is a very high culture, toxic culture environment. It can also damage your employer brand. You know, all those staff, they go out there and they begin to talk about your organization. And as a matter of fact, me, I know, as I am currently now, probably where I just left now, somebody wants to go there. Who's the first person they're going to call? It's me now. Just like the way anytime I want to enter a new organization, I usually call people I know. I can remember there's a particular time I even have to call Dr. Adeoshu. Hello, sir. I'm going to this organization. What do you know about them? And the next thing he did for me was, Fola, I know somebody somewhere. Yeah, take this number and call the person. Yes, that's what we do in the industry. And at times, if you handle it very poorly, it can lead to litigation and regulatory exposure. Go and check the number of organizations that are losing to their employees, paying, some are even paying in billions, some are paying in so many millions of naira. I don't want to mention to organization because I know some people are here, they could be coming from that organization. Like where I am currently, I am leading their people, culture, and operations. And if there's anything I am trying to correct, is to ensure best practices around hiring. When you give, in fact, for the first time in my life, I don't usually pay attention to what is written in the offer letter when you are sending it out. I just saw it. I will just see it in our group email that, oh, I gave an offer to this person. But now that I have to sign offer letter, or I have to give them my signature to be putting on offer letter, I told them, I beg, let's sit down and review this offer letter. Is there any clause? Is there anything that can lead to litigation in the future? Is there any area there that we have promised and currently we are not doing? There's no point putting it. I have seen offer letter and I have seen the worst. People will put things inside that they know that they are not going to do, and they will put it there. Why? You put HMO, you put this, you put that. At the end of the day, when the person wants to take HMO, you say, no, that price is that amount is just there for their sake. You better be careful. Somebody like me will sue you. How did they exit? So you have to pay attention. How do you manage those employees? Okay? If you don't need them, find a way, document it, engage. Like tomorrow now, I will be meeting 4 of our staff because we want to place them on PIP. I want to explain the reason for them. I want them to understand what PIP means. I want them to understand that after PIP, this is what is next. In fact, I prioritize it seriously. Okay? So, here at our redundancy governance framework, and I want you to pay attention to these key pillars. Number 1 is ethical decision criteria. You must set it there. Before we let them go, before we make them redundant, or before we dismiss them, you must pay attention to ethical decision criteria. And I love, okay, let me just say what you can do right now. You can form a committee, okay? People that you know that they could, a committee, and they do it. And I think that's what happened everywhere I've ever worked, especially in a well-regulatory banking industry that I found myself. That's what they do before they begin to let people go. They have that strong committee. As a matter of fact, they even hire counselors, do all of those kind of things, and they do it. Then the second one is legal and regulatory compliance. Do all you can to ensure that you follow the labor law. Then we have the capability and knowledge protection. Be careful, because these people can be going with a lot of institutional knowledge. And not just that, okay? How do I put it? Because they still have to do some handing over to you. So be careful that you handle it critically well. The next one is the board oversight. So you need to write a serious report that empowers the board to make such decision. How is going to do it? You are the one that will do it. So you need to do your hard work. And the final one is communication discipline. You need to, or in fact, I need to change that discipline to clarity. Be clear in that communication. Okay. HR behavior during redundancy. So these are the behavior you must have during redundancy, because employees will be watching. Number 1, they'll be watching fairness. They'll be watching transparency, empathy, and consistency. I will quickly go back to empathy. Please be empathetic. Be an empathetic HR. Part of the thing I came to this, our platform to train about, actually has to do with emotional intelligence and HR. And I don't mind coming back again to do it, because I realized that some of our HR are not. In fact, I've seen some HR telling me that, see, if you are weak, if you are a weak HR, you can't be successful. We don't need to be too strong to be successful now. At times, we need to embrace our vulnerability. Let us put ourselves in the shoe of other people. And when we do it genuinely, in a transparent way, they will respect us. Okay? And be consistent. Okay? So as I'm rounding up, I said, remember, cultural risk is also equals to enterprise risk. It's also equals to financial risk. In fact, it's equal to technological risk. Please treat culture, talent, retention, just like the way you will treat all other area of the business. Sincerely speaking, it is the major thing that HR need to start championing. most organization in this country, culture is going out, especially Ed1. They just mention it. They do nothing about it. The second one is that talent loss is equal to value linkage. The more you keep losing talent, the more you keep losing value. I don't have to explain that one. And redundancy governance equal to leadership credibility. So you must form, what is the meaning of governance? It means that you form a committee around it. As a matter of fact, one of the things I'm doing where I am currently now, which I think people have not, they didn't pay attention to it, is that here, where I am now, I am forming what refers to as people and culture committee, not disciplinary committee. Oh. I call it PSC, People Leadership and Culture Committee, as part of my governance. I form it though. And by the grace of God, tomorrow or next week now, I am going to write their charter. What they will be doing. How will people do there? These people will dedicate part of their time within the month on our people, on our leadership, on our culture. And they will be giving reports. I'm going to do that. And I'm doing that because I realize that most committee, go and look at all committee. You'll be hearing digital and IT committee, risk management committee, clinical committee. You won't see anything like people leadership and culture committee. You won't see it. Probably by the time you leave this place, you'll be like me too. You go back there and say, let us form this committee. And you give them their charter or terms of reference. What we'll be working on. Then number 4, people risk deserve the same rigor as financial risk. I think I've said that already. I said because you decide. 1, change reviews culture, and you're the one that will make that changes. If it is positive, your culture will be positive. Leaders define outcome. So these are choice matter. You want to be an effective leader, it will define outcome. Then organizations that integrate culture, retain talent, and manage redundancy ethically. Do you know what happened to them? They perform better, they recover faster, and they finally earn lasting trust. You want to manage change well, and you want to manage until you win. Pay attention to those last words. Organizations that integrate culture, talent retention, and manage redundancy very well. Sincerely speaking, you perform better, you recover faster, and you earn a lasting trust. Dear colleagues, I think this is where I will be stopping today. And just like the way my mantra is empowering people, enable growth. In terms of performance, accountability, culture, and excellence. I want to say thank you for listening to me today. I'm so excited. So over to you, Dr. Adeosun. God bless you.
Thank you so much for this very exhilarating session. I really enjoyed it, massive session. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a few questions, comments, and contributions directly related to the subject matter. If you have any question or comments, if you ask, I'll be glad to give you access to unmute so that you can share your thoughts or ask your questions. I like Ekpeyong, I see your hand. Comfort, please, you have the floor.
Okay, good day, everyone. Thank you, strategist Vincent. You've actually dissected the topic. It's more of an abridged MBA. So I think
Doctor, hope you are hearing that.
So it's actually, so my comments will be in 2 folds. So you're doing a good job, and what we call it is disruptive HR management. So what you have started to do is to change the process. So, and then again, you can only have like minds to win and to align with the disruption. So if you get into a workplace that the culture is not being accepted, and obviously is not walking the talk, sometimes the people that wrote the policy wrote it in their favor or as at what they know. And they refuse to know that as long as I am still here, I'm also binded by that policy written there. So time be told, when they leave that organization, the new person that comes in continue to write on that policy. I think all philosophy, all ideas need to be reviewed either yearly or
Yes.
annually
Yes.
to
Yeah.
put a face to it, and for all HR professionals to walk the talk and align with the business. Because sometimes we'll hear that the HR is also an employee. Sometimes he's also getting bonds. He's getting bonds because there are times that you get to the board, the suit, to make inference. They will tell you they might not even be bold to make that brave conversation. At the back, they will appoint your subordinate to issue you a query. We've been in platform where someone will come up to say that my CEO instructed an administrator to issue an HR query. Maybe that HR was making a bold decision, and the owner of the business said, okay, I know how to deal with you secretly, and that goes. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Just to add to it, yes, the review is very, very important. And you mentioned something that has to do, what of people make policy to suit them? And that is where what you have just discussed today is very important. Okay. That is if you, and truly, culture is what management allows and what HR support. Okay. But once we have made up our mind to say that, no, we want to get it right, then this is the way to go. Like what you said, review begins. Then the willingness to implement continues. One of the problems we have in Asia is not that we don't have great strategy. It has to do with the willingness to implement those strategy. Secondly, it's not that we don't have great policies. It is the compliance and consistency of that policy over the time. And that is what that's what really affects HR work. And finally, it has to do with the leadership. How do I put it now? Leadership misalignment to everything that the HR is doing. Do they align? So probably in the next time we are going to talk right now, probably my needs to be, how do we ensure we gain support of these leaders in all of the HR strategy, policies, and other governance structure and frameworks? I think we need to, it's not something we do, it's going to be workshop. It's such a way that we can pull this leader, find a way to also bring them to where HR. I don't know. I know that Dr. Louis probably is trying to get what I'm trying to say. It's good because a lot, if you give opportunity to all HR, they will tell you what they are facing. Serious thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that contribution. Thank you, Madam Comfort Ekpeyon, and thank you, Fala Vincent. Let's go to Oludayo. I believe that will be the last contribution or question for today.
Okay, so good evening, Doctor. Good evening, the facilitator. Thank you so much for this powerful session. I
You're
just
welcome.
wanted to shed light on the committee, the leadership, and the culture committee thing that you actually mentioned made so much sense to me. I just wanted to share your idea on how you want to run it. I'm looking at if it's something that I can also jump on and see how I can drive implementation in the organization where I work.
Okay, let's first of all understand the foundation.
Okay.
So in every organization, there's what we call governance. Okay, some people can be saying structure. Oh, they don't have structure in this place. There are some things that bring about structure, every other things, apart from your policies and all of those things, your processes. You must have governance around your policies, You must have governance around your processes. Yeah, there are some people in your organization, they are vested with governance. Let me put it this way, risk and governance. But in this place, when you look at your organization, for example, the area of risk and compliance, some people meet to shape risk and compliance in your organization. They review it, they control it, they develop strategy around it. Those are the risk and their compliance committee. That is number one, governance. Most of the time, it could be headed by a board member or is headed by an executive management. Okay. Another one you will see, it could be has to do with financial performance, things around performance. Generally, they will also going to have a committee around it. These people meet either weekly, some of them meet bi-weekly or probably every month. They shape everything that happens within finance. So they look at where are we getting it wrong? Where are we getting it right? Where are we now? Are we where we want to be? Another governance, okay? So if you look at all of these, most organizations, despite the fact that we talk about culture, probably leadership, nobody has formed a governance around it. And more of the time when you get to the board room or you go to the executive management, they just use mouth to talk about it. So what do you do now? Like what I am doing, it's deliberate for me, very, very deliberate for me. We are going to have a governance or a committee that looks into our culture, that looks into leadership issues. This one is not a disciplinary committee members. You know, those people, when things has happened, they call them. But these people will be intentional, they will be meeting. So we have the culture, leadership, and what other thing that I call it, or PLC, people, leadership, and culture. Okay, so then we give them terms of reference, how they want to work. TOR, term of reference, then we also give them a charter. So you constitute that committee with if you are using board in your area, you get board approval for it. They can even assign a company secretariat or a legal person to be their secretary. You appoint secretary for it. Then every month they have a report, or every quarter they have a report that go to the board. Is that okay? So that is how governance are made. So you can have something like that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Madam Oludayo, confirm. That's good. All right. I see your chat message. All right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is a convenient intersection to call it a wrap. It's not easy to close a session with Fola and Vincent. What we'll do right now is to unmute and say thank you to our facilitator. Everyone, please let's unmute and let's thank our erudite scholar for the excellent session delivered tonight. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much,
much,
sir.
sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
sir.
All of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much,
you so
sir.
much.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate